Hi, I'm Tony Northup, and today I'm going to go over some of my favorite smartphone photography apps. I've combed through dozens and dozens of apps, filtering out all the stuff that's terrible and picking just the best from several different categories. This video is brought to you by Squarespace, our sponsors. They're paying for this. Thanks, Squarespace. They make awesome portfolios. So if you're looking to make your pictures look absolutely fantastic, Squarespace is the best tool for doing that. You can get a discount if you visit squarespace.com/Tony, 14 days free. And if you decide to sign up, use the coupon code Portfolio. Up first, my favorite image editing app is Snapseed. Snapseed works just great. First, simply select the photo that you want to use. You can either take it or choose one from your library. So I'm using an Android phone, but all the apps I'm showing you today will work perfectly in either Android or iPhone, so they're all available. I kind of like it in the horizontal perspective here. So of course it has automatic adjustments that you can make, like improving the contrast. When you're using Snapseed, I love the user interface here. You just drag it up and down to select from the different options, and then drag it right or left to make any changes. So I'll touch the check mark down here to save that. And now you can do things like tuning it. This provides a lot of different settings that you can adjust, like I can increase the shadows. I could warm the picture up a little bit. You can even make selective adjustments, like maybe this red in the brick speck here is bothering me. I'll click the plus to add a point and then drop the point right there. Then I'll just maybe drop the brightness a little bit, go down to saturation and drop the saturation in the red some. There you can see it made the bricks just a little bit less distracting. You can just keep adding more points by hitting that plus sign. Change that to saturation, drop the saturation some. And when you've done your edits, it's super easy to share. Touch up here, touch share. It saves it to your phone. And then you can pick whichever app you want to use to share it. Now there are a lot of photo editing apps out there. I just found Snapseed the easiest to use. One that deserves an honorable mention is Afterlight. Snapseed is free, Afterlight costs $1. But Afterlight works pretty well. I just found it not quite as intuitive. Here you can choose to either take a new picture or to select one from your library. Let's pick this picture of my EM10. One thing I liked about Snapseed better is it lets you rotate it to horizontal. Afterlight is a vertical only app. So you can select all the usual adjustments here, things like changing your exposure, changing highlight tones and shadow tones. I just found that it took me a few extra taps to get to the edits that I wanted to get done. So Afterlight works well. I just didn't like it quite as much. Just an honorable mention. Another honorable mention is Photoshop Express, which is a free application from Adobe. And this is going to be, I think, primarily appealing to those of us who use the Creative Cloud to store some of our files. So if you're using Lightroom Mobile, for example, I'm not a huge fan of the Lightroom Mobile app, that's why I didn't make the list, but Photoshop Express works better than that and attaches to the Creative Cloud and allows you to download your photos directly from that, as well as other places. Here I can select pictures from the Creative Cloud. And you can see it has a variety of different presets, tame and crazy. And you can do things like cropping, straightening, correcting, reducing noise. So this app is a little more serious and a little less fun than Snapseed, so maybe it fits your personality a little bit better, or maybe that you really like that it connects into the Creative Cloud. That's another good reason to use it. Now we'll get into a little more of the fun stuff, not just pure photo editing, but actually making collages and adding text and stuff. My favorite collage app is Moldive. Works really well. It's just really easy to use, and there are literally dozens of apps that will make little collages for you. But I really like making collages, especially for photos that are going to be shared on Instagram or Twitter. You can take multiple photos and then combine them into one, and it's really a great way to tell a story or to capture a scene. For example, instead of just taking a picture of the dinner that you're eating, you could take a picture of your drink, take a picture of your food, and then maybe take a picture of your companion in the restaurant and combine them together into one bigger story. Moldiv is advertising sponsored, so you might have to skip through some ads, but you can browse through just a ton of different patterns that they have here. Some of these you have to pay for, but the app itself for free does a pretty good job. Let's pick something simple with just 3 different pictures. Now that you've selected it, you can tap to select the pictures from your gallery or to take a new picture. So let's put together a little story of the photo shoot that we did earlier this week. I'll use that one, and then for this one, let's use this picture of a camera. I can just zoom in to really fill the frame. There we go. With this sort of storytelling, well, sometimes you can see this particular picture didn't fit that frame well. So I can just swap them around like that. You can also change the background of it to, say, wood or something different. And of course, add text, which is something I really like in a picture. Very on-the-nose way to tell your story. And when you're done, you can quickly upload it to your favorite social site. And that's all there is to it. I was able to put together a collage, add text, and put it right on Instagram with just a few taps. Works just so naturally and efficiently. Another honorable mention here is photo collage. I don't like it as much as Moldiv. It does kind of the same job, but it's also worth mentioning. This is a free app, though, yes, they want to charge you for a lot of different features, which kind of makes sense. Works basically the same way. You'll just pick out a frame and then select a few photos to drop into it. Scroll down a little bit, find a different subject. And like Moldiv, you can add text. And when you're done, you can easily save it and post it to your favorite social networks. If you're into Instagram, but you want to add text, I like the InstaQuote tool. It's free, basically, but you can't do much of anything useful with it unless you pay the $2 to buy it. I'll just show it to you real quickly. It's pretty much only for Instagram users. It's fine for any of those other tools will add text to. This one is just designed specifically for Instagram, so it'll help you out by, say, cropping your photos for you automatically. It comes with a bunch of backgrounds in case you just want to write words, but we're all photographers here, so we'll click this down here and choose a picture from the gallery. Here's a cool one of Chelsea shooting. So of course it's Instagram, so I have to make it square. Frame it and click OK. Then I can add text with this tool on the right here. Let's just say power. The letters end up looking just great, and you can easily change it to select a font that really fits the mood of your picture. And when you're done, of course, you can easily share it right on Instagram using that button right there in the middle, or save it to a different app. That's all there is to Instaquote. It does one thing, but it does it well and pretty easily. Another app I really like is Big Lens. This is a specialized tool, but it can add background blur to your pictures bokeh, basically, and it gives you some flexibility. It's another very single purpose tool, but it does it better than any of the tools I've used, including the camera apps built into my phone. So to fire up Big Lens, available for both the iPhone and Android phones. There it is. Load a photo. Let's go back to this picture of Chelsea in a wig. Now, in basic mode, it'll pretty much do the job just fine. You can use a circle to define the area that you want to be in focus, and everything else is going to be blurred to some extent. You can also choose to have the focus area be a line, which would be great for landscapes and useful for adding like that tilt shift effect you see sometimes. But for now, let's just stick with a circle. You can adjust the aperture, which is fairly meaningless, but it does allow you to simulate, choose just how much blur there's going to be. So of course, the more blur you add, the more unnatural it's going to look, but you can definitely add a little bit of blur and get a good idea. Now, pushing here the compare button in the lower right, you can see it is distinctly different, and the blur does look pretty natural, and I think it is pretty passable for most people. Now, there are crazy filters, things that you can do, and that's all fun, and that works just fine. But the one thing that Big Lens is really good at is adding just a little bit of bokeh, setting your subject apart from the background a little bit. Now let's go over a couple of Squarespace apps that I really like. And Squarespace is our sponsor. They've paid for this, so I'm going to give them a little extra special attention. But their Squarespace portfolio app is genuinely really, really useful for those of us who do host our portfolios on Squarespace. It's a great way to immediately show somebody your pictures and have them look just great. So let's pull up my portfolio now on Squarespace. Well, actually, I'm borrowing Chelsea's phone, so this is Chelsea's portfolio, but you can see everything loads up really quickly because it's been cached locally. So if you're on an airplane and you want to show somebody your pictures, you can do that. But it automatically synchronizes with your Squarespace portfolio, so you can see all of your pictures. You can browse through them, zoom in to fill the screen and show off details. It's just fantastic that Squarespace offers this for free, and it really complements your online portfolio by allowing you kind of offline access and allowing you to, in a flattering way, show the very specific pictures that you might want to share with somebody. The Squarespace app is a free complement to your portfolio online. Right now, it only works with the iPhone, but I hope to see an Android version of it pretty soon. Another useful app from Squarespace is the Metrics app. And if you've gone online, you can see just amazing analytics when you use your web browser. They've also built a tool that shows you the analytics right in your iOS device, an iPhone or an iPad. Let's pull that up now. So at a glance, I can see that I've had 253 page views today, and that this week is up 13% from last week. It gives you an incredible amount of information. I can see the most popular content, which is usually going to be the first picture on your page. That's why it's so important that you make that first picture really, really pop. Here I can see how people got to my website, mostly through Google, probably searching for my name, but a lot of people are linking in from Facebook and, searching on Bing too. I can see incredible amounts of detail, like whether people are using Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. Looks like most of my users are on Chrome. Good for you guys. I can see the most popular operating systems. Mac OS X is winning, but, well, different versions of Windows are taking the majority of it still. You can see the device platforms, how it's split between desktop and mobile. Knowing that I have a 13.7% mobile audience means that it's very important that I go in and make sure all my pictures look good on mobile devices. Sometimes they might not format correctly, or you might have to rethink the crop on your pictures to make them look good on a small screen. Something to think about. That's how this sort of analytics can really help you shape your portfolio, and I appreciate that Squarespace is so aware of mobile devices. Their portfolios look just fantastic when you view them on mobile devices, even without the portfolio app. You can just visit the website directly and browse through it, even if you aren't at a desktop PC. So the analytics, again, available for free for any users, just allows you to quickly see how many people are visiting your site without having to go to a computer. Another app that is available on Android devices and works just great with your portfolio is the blog app. This allows you to make a blog post really quickly and include pictures and videos. So if you're doing a photo shoot, if you're shooting a wedding, you can take some pictures with your phone or copy them over to your phone with an app specific to your camera, and then immediately post them on the blog in just a couple of minutes. And the blog app is so easy to use, it just pops up really quickly. I'll launch it here. I'll hit the new blog post icon in the upper right corner. So you can type a message, or you can hit the plus key to actually add pictures, because we're all about pictures, right? Choose a photo from the device. Okay, let's pick this last collage photo that I made. You can enter in captions, you can add YouTube videos, whatever you want, and when you're ready, just click the check mark and click publish. And it's instantly online on your Squarespace blog so that anybody can see it. It's a great way to stay up to date on your blog, because it's very important that you constantly add new content to your blog. And I know if I have to go back to my computer to do it, I'm more likely to forget. But with the Squarespace blog app, I can do it while I'm at the shoot with just a few clicks, and it makes everything much more fresh. Another tool which also integrates into your website but can be used individually by anybody, even if you don't have a Squarespace subscription, is the Squarespace Note app. This is just a note-taking app, but it's so simple that it works extremely easily. You can make any sort of note that you want, like get milk. And now that you've made it, just swipe up from the bottom. It's really good. You can take a picture too, which I like to take pictures so that if I park my car somewhere, I take a picture of the letter and number that indicates my parking spot. So I'm constantly taking little pictures like this to go along with my notes. Now that I've done that, I can just swipe up from the bottom and it sends it. And it can send it to your Squarespace blog. It can send it to Google Drive. It can send it to Evernote if you use that tool. So it's a very single purpose app, which is quickly making a note and possibly associating a picture. But you can always get to those notes later through Google Drive or any other device that might connect to that. If you decide you want to show off your pictures and make them look just great, whether it's on a PC or mobile device, there's no better way to do it than Squarespace. Squarespace.com/Tony is the place to start. You'll get a 14-day free trial, no credit card required at all. You can just play around. It's a great way just to organize your pictures, and I like pushing people through the process of creating a portfolio. Just 10 to 15 pictures is all you need, because it forces you to pick out your best pictures. Everybody should have a portfolio for that reason. It's just a great way to find your best work and highlight it and show off what a great photographer you've become. If you decide to sign up after your trial, use the coupon code portfolio just to let them know that you heard about it from us. Maybe they'll sponsor some more videos for us. Let's talk about a couple of planning apps, because so much of the important work of photography happens before you actually take the picture, before you even get to the scene. And I want to bring up depth of field calculators, because when I asked on my Twitter for people to recommend their favorite smartphone apps, a lot of people came back with depth of field calculators. I don't find them useful at all. To really understand how much is going to be in focus, you'd have to understand the resolution of the camera. You'd also have to understand the final viewing distance and the final rendered image size, because something that's small, the size of a thumbnail, maybe on a mobile device, will have much more depth of field than a massive 20 by 30 print that's being viewed up close. So there's just too many factors involved, and I don't think depth of field is something you can even properly calculate and have that number mean anything significant. Instead, I just recommend people look at the picture and develop a feel for how much they need. And when necessary, take pictures at multiple different apertures just to be sure you got something right. Anyway, skip the depth of field calculators. That's all I wanted to say. My favorite planning tool is Sun Surveyor. Used to be the photographer's ephemeris. I've replaced it. Sun Surveyor is a fantastic value at only $7. It lets you plan your shoot around the sun and the moon, as well as the moon phases. So you can use it to pinpoint exactly where the sun is going to be in the sky at any particular time of day. That'll tell you whether the front of a building is front lit or if something is backlit. Maybe you want to use the sun and place it behind your subject's head to get some nice rim lighting. Well, you'll want to know that the sun is going to be on the horizon, but not below the tree line. Sun Surveyor will allow you to do that. My favorite feature of it is that it works with like a live feed from your phone's camera. So you can hold it up and look around, and it will overlay the position of the sun and the moon. That's really important because other apps will tell you when the sun sets. But that's the time when the sun hits the horizon, and that's only meaningful if you're basically on the ocean and the sun is setting over the ocean. Everywhere else there'll be trees or buildings or hills that will block the sun long before the official sunset. So with Sun Surveyor, you can actually look around and pinpoint exactly where the sun is going to be. And in fact, if you can't physically go to the location, Sun Surveyor has an awesome tool that works with Google Street View that will allow you to plan it ahead of time. So let's check that out. Click in the upper left here and switch over to the Street View tool. And let's say I want to shoot at Harkness, just a park nearby. So I can pan around, and this is the Google Street View, but as I look towards the sky, you can see it's overlaying the path that the sun is going to take and showing me the time of day that it will be at each position. So that's 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And I can see that the sun will be right about tree line at 6 p.m. So if I was planning a shoot and I knew I needed that light, well, I wouldn't plan it around the sunset, which would be at around 7:30. I'd have to plan it around 6 p.m. when the sun disappeared behind the trees. What an incredibly useful tool, right? You can get the same experience using the camera when you're physically at a location. I can also look back and see exactly where the sun will rise in a particular location, and of course move down the street. Now when I select moonrise here and moonset, you can see it's overlaying with blue where the moon is going to be. So if you're into astrophotography, that's going to be really important to you. That'll help you plan around exactly how much moonlight is going to be cast, which might be brightening the skies up too much for you to get good stars. Or if you're a night photographer and you actually want that moon to help provide ambient light, you can plan around that too and figure out exactly where your shadows are going to be. It has a 3D compass, which is just plain cool. And the ephemeris is just quick reference that tells you the exact sunrise and sunset, as well as the period of the golden hour and the blue hour. The golden hour is the time before sunset when you get that kind of beautiful light, and the blue hour is the time after sunset. And you can see they really vary depending on where you are in the world and how close you are to the equator. So on the equator, it's pretty much the same amount of time throughout the year, but as you move farther north or south, it really requires additional planning. And if you're on the equator, the golden hour can be very short. But if, for example, you're in Scandinavia in the summer, the golden hour might last a couple of hours. Sun Surveyor can actually tell you that ahead of time, so you can plan the stuff out before you actually get there. Anyway, I can't recommend Sun Surveyor enough. They're not a sponsor. Squarespace is a sponsor. I just like Sun Surveyor and want everybody to know about it. It's a fantastic tool. Another tool that I really like is Easy Release, which is a model release tool. Basically, instead of having to carry around a stack of papers and making sure they didn't get crumpled up, I can now use Easy Release to get legal forms, at least legal for the purposes that I need, and have the model sign them by using their finger. Works just fine, categorizes everything in the phone itself. So I'll fire up Easy Release. We had a shoot just last week that I used it with, but create a new release by clicking the plus sign, and you can choose between a model release or property release. Yes, if you take a picture of somebody's house and you want to use it, you need a property release for that. They've thought about this. All the major stock agencies will accept these model releases. You should check the app description before you buy into it because it does cost $10. But for me, it's been such a time saver. So you can name your shoot Carob. Well, I was supposed to say fashion, but that's close enough, right? Select a location or choose your current location. Select the date of the shoot. And then it's a simple wizard-based interface. So I just click next here, type in the model's name, the address of the shoot, etc. You can also load models in from contacts, or it saves previous models. So it makes it really easy to get all the data entered in. And now it wants a picture of the ID because that's one of the things that's required of model releases. If you submit them to, say, iStock and you want to sell a photo as stock, you need a photo of that person's ID showing that they're of legal age and that they agreed to it. So here you can just click the camera icon here and it will allow you to actually take a photo of the ID. Once you're all done, you've gathered all that information, you can save it as a PDF and automatically email it to yourself and the model so that they have a copy. It really just streamlines the whole model release process. I'll show you real quickly. It even saves your signature because you'll have to sign the model release too, so you only have to do that once. You can see it wants them to read the model release, tap here to agree, and now they can turn it horizontally and sign it. Click done. Now at the bottom here in the PDF section, I'll just click the Create PDF. It makes it up for me, and look, it's an actual model release that's ready to print, send, or save. Tap that, and it will automatically email it to me. Model release, an incredibly helpful tool. One of the more expensive apps at only $10, but just an incredible value, since I used to have to always carry around a stack of model releases and then try to remember to get the model to sign it and then have to get a photo of their ID separately. Love that tool. Also, I want to talk about a light metering tool, and light meters are primarily useful for film photographers because our modern digital cameras have fantastic light meters in them. But there's a practice that I recommend in stunning digital photography where you stop using the camera's auto exposure system and you do everything manually by metering it with a separate app. What you're doing is you're decoupling the metering system from the photographic process inside the camera. By using your phone to meter something, or a separate light meter, you force yourself to think about the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Then you basically just copy those into the camera. So you're not just shooting blind, you're not just taking guesses at the settings, but the decoupling process forces your hands to enter it all into the camera and forces your brain to think about whether the shutter speed is 1/30th or 1/120th, what the ISO is, etc. So there are two different apps I recommend using, and unfortunately I couldn't find one app that worked for both iPhone and Android. In the iPhone world, I recommend the Pocket Light Meter. It's free and it works just fine. It's got some ads in it, which are a little bit annoying, but it works pretty well. In Android, I couldn't find a good free app. They all were just too annoying with the pop-up ads and such. But Light Meter Tools is only $3 and it works real well. I'll show you just quickly how it actually works. My favorite mode is just the camera meter here. What that's going to do is just show a picture of the scene here and then the settings that it would recommend using. So you can go in and probably first select the ISO that you want to use, and then you're either going to allow it to tell you the proper f-stop or tell you the shutter speed. So it works like aperture priority or shutter priority mode, basically. Let's say I know I need to be at 1/60th to cancel out camera shake. It's telling me that I should use f1.8 or f2, kind of depending on the scene. If I point it down at this white table, you can see it recommends a bigger aperture at f1.4 because it's trying to make everything gray. You can make it work as a spot meter by just pulling this apart and zooming in real tight. If you want to define the aperture and have it select the shutter speed, just hold that down and it switches, so it's now calculating the shutter speed, and now I can select the f-stop that I need to get everything in focus. So now it's telling me I need to be at 1/4 of a second. If I saw that, I would probably go in and actually change the ISO to something higher. So if you are a film photographer or you sometimes use old manual cameras as I do, a light metering tool is incredibly useful. But as I said, everybody should get one of these apps and try it out for a week. Do all your metering with your phone app, and then take those settings and copy them into your camera on manual mode with manual ISO. And I promise you'll develop such an intensely strong understanding of exposure and metering that it will change your photography. That's it. I want to thank Squarespace one more time for sponsoring this video. They made it possible. If you decide you want to make your pictures look awesome on the web, on mobile devices, on PCs, anything, go to squarespace.com/Tony to sign up for a free trial, no credit card required. And then if you decide to sign up, save yourself 10% by using the coupon code PORTFOLIO. Thanks so much. Subscribe for more. And if you have any questions, add a comment. If you want to suggest your own favorite app that I missed, go ahead and add a comment. Thanks.